it reflect on Paul's phone?
This is when this video was extracted and created through Paul's phone, which shows Alex, Maggie, and, well, you can hear Alex, Maggie, and Paul in the background.
That's the kennel video at 8:44.
That's a kennel video that's been in previous testimony, correct?
Following below that, at 8:47 and 8:48, does Paul continue to communicate with his phone?
He does. He uses the iMessage feature in his phone to send a couple messages to Megan Kimbrell.
Phone?
He does. It looks like it's based off of movie recommendations.
Are those communications for 10 minutes or just for a couple of minutes or a minute or so?
A minute or so.
Going to the top of page 19.
Mm-hmm.
What time do we see there?
8:48:29.
All right. And what's going on? What's Paul doing?
He's receiving a message from Megan, and we have some backlight on data at 8:48:56.
All right. And the next entry, tell me the time periods for that entry.
8:48:58 to 8:49:01.
All right. And what happens there?
Paul Murdaugh's phone that's the last time that it was unlocked.
Ever?
Ever. (8:49:01).
And the next activity that we'll see on Paul's phone occurred when?
We have a backlight off from 8:49 to...
Going back to 8:48 to 8:49:01, you said that was when Paul's phone was last unlocked?
That is correct.
And continue on with that data entry, what does it indicate? What's the next time ever that Paul's phone shows any activity?
10:18. That's when...
And the 8:48 to 8:49 p.m.?
Oh, I'm sorry. Next activity notification is going to be the Rogan Gibson call at 9:58:35. That's the next time that any activity or notification shows up on his phone.
Looking at this entry with the green line on the right side, what are those time periods there, and what do they represent starting at 8:49:01?
Starting at 8:49:01 to 10:34:23, Paul's phone shows device locked.
Was it ever open again until it died at 10:34:23?
It was not.
8:49:01 is the last time before that Paul had ever unlocked his phone.
That is correct.
Hey there. I want to go grab something really quick.
Just a few seconds later, does Maggie's phone reflect any activity?
It does. 8:49:26, so approximately 26 seconds later, her phone unlocks for text message notification, and it implements an orientation change.
And was that text message about Mr. Randolph that you earlier referred to?
That is correct, that group message.
Things are not looking good, man. This is the last witness, I believe, as
I
well.
believe it was in response to Lynn.
And at 8:49:31, here in red, what happens to Maggie's phone? Just seconds later.
Maggie Murdaugh's phone locks forever.
Forever. Until when?
Until it's recovered the next day at 1:10 p.m.
On June 8th.
on June 8th by law enforcement.
Do both Maggie and Paul's phone lock forever around 8:49?
They do.
He looks stressed today.
At 8:49:35, does Paul's phone receive a text from anyone?
It does. It received a text from Brogan Gibson.
And what does that text say?
See if you can get a good picture of it. Mary Ann, referring to his girlfriend, wants to send it to a girl, we know that's a vet. Tell him to sit and stay, and he shouldn't move around too much. That shows unread.
You never read that.
Never read it.
According to the investigation, is that the conversation that Paul and Rogan were actively engaged in starting at 8:40?
That is correct.
The kennel video was at what time?
8:44.
And the defendant repeatedly denied that he was ever at those kennels with the victims just minutes before their phones go silent forever.
Objection.
Basis for the objection.
Leading. It's leading.
Don't leave the witness. Restate the question.
You getting a little too excited over there.
Did the defendant repeatedly deny ever being at the kennels at that
Yes.
time period?
Yes, he did. Various interviews with law enforcement.
And was that kennel video, what time was that kennel video?
8:44.
And what time did Paul and Maggie's phones go silent forever?
Eight.
Answered it several times.
Objection is overruled.
8:49 is when their phones went silent forever.
Hi, Patty. I know the car
At
data.
8:53, do we see any activity on Maggie's phone?
We do. At this time, as you can see to the right, her phone is locked, but we do see that 59 steps were traveled over the period of 8:53 to 8:55.
And that just means the phone was moving, correct?
That is correct.
Do we see some orientation changes as well?
We do. Between 8:53:08 and 8:55:32, we see various orientation changes, which would indicate that someone has the phone based on previous testimony.
Oh, man.
Moving on to page 20. At the top, we have 8:55, and we have a reference to a data point. Can you explain that to the jury, whose phone that is, and just generally what that is based on information gathered in the investigation?
8:55:48?
8:55:48, yes, sir.
That's just a internal application running in the background for Maggie Murdaugh's phone. It's just the iPhones will take a random snapshot of what's going on in the phone. So that's just reflecting that there was some, behind the scenes stuff happening in her phone. It's not saying that someone was actively using it.
Hold on for me just real quick.
Hey, Kiera, how are you doing today? So they just got the car data from GM, I think last week. This is a very strong last witness. The jury's gonna remember this. And I believe they have a 3-day weekend, so this is gonna marinate in their brains over the weekend.
Right here
Oh, man.
at the bottom of page 13, we have a reference to step data on Alex's phone.
That's correct.
And what are those time periods?
8:05:35 to 8:09:52. It's showing 54 steps traveled.
All right. We'll turn into page 20. What suddenly happens to Alex's phone around 9:02?
Pretty much wakes up.
And what data point is reflected?
From 9:02:18 p.m. to 9:06:47, it shows 283 steps traveled.
And how long? How many minutes, roughly?
5 minutes. 6
Oh,
minutes.
so he
I'm going to show you
walked
what's been marked as Exhibit 521 in your
You walked
testimony
from
and
the
see if you
kennel?
recognize that.
to the house.
I do.
And tell me what that is, please.
This is going to be a paste spreadsheet for Paul Murdaugh, Maggie Murdaugh, and Alex Murdaugh that I created.
I was wondering if he walked or if
Your Honor,
he
this
drove.
time I would offer States 521 into evidence.
No objection.
Submit it.
Can I have the envelope, please?
Yo, Alec, you want to like change your mind and just like say you did it, not waste the jury's time
In
for the
general, if I
next
could have the screen.
how many more weeks? Yeah, because I was wondering, I was like, guys, do you think like he drove down there with Paul and Maggie, or do you think he like surprise showed up and then he did it?
All right, tell the jury real quick as we look at this exhibit just admitted, just generally we have at the top, tell them quickly what this is and what these columns represent. Explain this chart if you would.
First column entry, that's just going to be from all the various entries from the phone data. We have a start time, we have a end time, we have the time elapsed in between the estimated amount of steps, and then we have a steps per minute calculation, which is going to be the far right.
And the steps, those are the data entries in this timeline that you've been testifying to as reflected from the phone data.
That is correct.
And then the last column is just a simple calculation of steps based on the time periods of those readings.
That is correct.
And the last step readings that we have on Paul's phone are from what time to what time?
The last step reading from Paul's phone is 8:32 to 8:42.
We have one for Maggie as well, is that correct?
We do. Her last time frame is going to be 8:53 to 8:55.
And then down at the bottom, who do we have?
This is going to be Alex Murdaugh's pace spreadsheet.
Oh God, they have so much information.
Let's talk about this a little bit.
He should have been like, I lost my phone a couple days
If
ago
you
and I had
would,
no access to
start
phone.
with entry 21. And what time periods is that? This is Alex's phone, correct?
This is going to be Alex Murdaugh's phone.
Right, time period.
6:52 to 7:02.
How many steps?
Approximately 283.
And how many steps per minute based on a simple math calculation?
Estimated 29.34.
All right. 22, time period, steps, and steps per minute.
7:03 to 7:11. Approximately 165 steps. Estimated 19.26 steps per minute.
So this is
24.
when he's like walking around.
24 is
running
going to
around
be 7:28
the farm.
to 7:37. Approximately 47 steps. And estimated 5.46 steps per minute.
25.
Hey, Kathy.
7:41 to 7:48, showing approximately 29 steps, 3.97 steps per minute.
26.
26 is showing 7:55 to 8:05, 270 steps, approximately 28.2 steps per minute.
28.
28 is going to be the 8:05 to 8:09.
Okay.
It's showing approximately 74 steps. That's 17.28 steps per minute.
And as you testified, that was the last entry on Alex's phone before we get to the 9 o'clock hour. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what time was the video again?
283 steps.
8:44 p.m.
Let's talk about 27. What's the time period there?
Time period's going to be 9:02 to 9:06.
How many steps?
283 steps, 70.75 steps per minute estimated.
Oh my God.
He was a busy guy right then, wasn't he?
Here's
Oh my God.
Was that, what was the average steps per minute from 902 to 906?
maybe it drove to
70.75.
ATV.
And was that far in excess of any ratings on his phone in those prior entries?
According to this table, yes.
Could I have the computer back again, please?
How active he was during the times of the murder. He claimed that he was taking a nap. And that he got up and drove to his like mama's house.
We have a map here on Paul's phone. Tell me very quickly what that represents.
We do. This is going to be based off of Verizon records for Paul Murdaugh, and it's showing 9:03:22 and 9:03:30, just showing what cell towers it was pinging off of.
Again, is his phone still locked during this time?
That is correct. Paul and Maggie's phones are still locked at this time.
Bottom of page 20, we got a pink box. What does that reflect?
That's from the FBI telemetry data, just showing a system startup with the telemetry system.
On which
To be,
vehicle?
Alex Murdaugh's 2021 Suburban.
I don't think we're gonna get Eddie. Handsome cousin Eddie ain't testifying today.
Is there a CDR reference to Mary Ann Dempsey attempting to call Paul?
There is.
Mary Ann Dempsey again is who?
Rogan Gibson's girlfriend at the time.
We have two entries after that. Can you explain those entries to the jury and tell the jury what those are, please?
Yep. So at 9:03:52 to 9:04:23, Maggie Murdaugh's iPhone backlight is on.
Hi,
At
Lady Autumn.
9:04:23, Alex Murdaugh calls Maggie Murdaugh, shows 18 seconds in his CDRs. This does not show on that Dylan Hightower first extraction or the second extraction. And it also shows missed on Maggie's phone extraction.
That one's missing from Alex's phone, correct?
That is correct. In the call log, it is missing.
Doesn't make sense. Why would you be deleting calls to your wife or FaceTime? There were two FaceTimes
At
that day that he also
9:05:15,
deleted.
is there any activity on Alex's phone?
It shows that Alex Murdaugh calls Randolph Murdaugh, 18 seconds. Does not show on Dylan Hightower extraction or the second extraction, just on the CDRs.
Who's Randolph again?
We have a
Brother?
pinkish box. What does that represent?
Pinkish box can represent that system startup for the telemetry data for the 21 Suburban.
Oh my god.
At 9:06:12, what happens?
Between 9:06:12 and 9:06:20, Maggie Murdaugh's phone implements orientation change from portrait to orientation sideways.
That starts at 9:06:12.
Yes, and it goes to 9:06:20.
The orientation starts to change. What happens 2 seconds after that orientation starts to change?
At 9:06:14, so that's 2 seconds afterwards, the phone receives an incoming call from Alex.
Was that call on the call log when Dylan Hightower downloaded the defendant's phone?
It was not.
Why? Why would he delete that? He changed his mind. He was like, wait, this is a little too sus. I called them immediately after the murders. That timeline's too perfect. So he murders them, and immediately after, he places fake calls to his wife's phone.
9:06:14 and 9:06:15.
Mr.
Those
Wonderful.
referencing that missed call
I was
from-
saying if, like, from far away,
that showed
hey,
up on Maggie's phone.
from,
That is correct.
Breaking Bad.
And 9:06:20, we're still seeing an orientation change.
Yep, that's when the orientation ended.
Moving down to the bottom of page 21, we have a bluish and a
Thanks,
green box.
Patty.
Tell the jury what that is.
So, according to the FBI telemetry data, the blue is going to indicate a shift in the transmission, and then green is going to show driving.
The Suburban's underway.
That is correct, according to the telemetry data.
At the bottom of page 21, is there another call from Alex Murdaugh's phone to Maggie's phone?
There is at 9:06:52, Alex calls Maggie. It shows 7 seconds long, and that's based off his CDRs since it was deleted off the call history.
Why is he
It
deleting
wasn't
these?
on Alex's extraction, correct?
It was not.
2 missed calls.
2 missed calls.
Oh my god.
Moving to page 22, at the top, what, if anything, does Alex Murdaugh's phone show in relation to the Suburban?
So it's just showing that the device connected to the car. When you get in your car, your phone will pair. It's just showing a device connection to iPhone.
And then the next entry, there's a time range there. Explain that time range to the jury and what that means.
So starting at 9:07 and going till 9:44.
9 what?
Sorry, 9:31:44. Her backlight is off.
The backlight is off. That entire time period.
That
I
entire
think he
time
knew he was going to be a
period.
suspect.
It was on, but now for this time period from 9:07 to 9:31, it's going to show off.
Going to this map, is that some of the cast data that you did that you testified to the jury?
It is. This is a previous slide that we had up. It's showing at 9:07:06. The Suburban is leaving 4147 Moselle Road.
2 calls to Maggie. Does the Suburban just take a quick right and go down this road right there to the kennels, or does it just continue straight on?
It just continues straight on.
Doesn't stop by the kennels for a second, does it?
It don't
Doesn't
make
stop by the
sense.
kennels.
His vehicle does not stop by the kennels.
Don't make sense.
Keeps right on going.
It's right on going to Moselle Road, makes a right.
She goes all the way to Moselle to be with him, to support him. You would think that he'd be like, hey, you
Going
know,
down to the bottom.
let's go to my
of
mama's
page
together.
22.
she doesn't pick up, you stop by the kennel,
It's
pick
just
her up,
another
let's
data
go.
point. It's showing the approximate
call.
location of Maggie Murdaugh's phone when it was located. And at it's 9:08:36. It's showing 42 miles an hour on Moselle Road. And in reference, we're coming up to Godley Farm Road on Moselle Road.
So at the point where Maggie's phone gets dumped, it shows
This
that
is at
Alex Murdaugh's vehicle
9:08:36.
speeds up after that.
And then we have,
Coincidence?
below that, we have a reference to a data point that you previously showed to the jury at 9:08:42.
Yep, it's going to be on the next page.
All right.
It's going to be at 9:08:42. And it's showing approximate miles per hour of 45
So bad.
in reference to where the phone was found the next day.
So bad.
And what's the speed on the defendant's vehicle at that point?
45 miles an hour.
And is Maggie's backlight off during this time period, this entire time period?
Her phone is locked. Yes. And the backlight is off.
Yeah, because they mentioned that if you threw a phone, sometimes it might not like turn the phone screen on. Hi, Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo, you sad you're not in the
9:08:58.
Velma show?
What do we see?
Alex Murdaugh sends a iMessage to Maggie stating, "Going to check on M, be right back." This shows unread in Maggie's phone.
Moving on, does Alex's phone reflect a series of calls being made?
It does.
Tell me about the first one.
First one's going to be at 9:10:47. Alex calls Buster. It shows 60 seconds long. That's based off of CDR since it's not in his phone extractions.
And that's again also missing from that entire series of events around the time of the murders that was not on Alex's extraction when it was downloaded.
That is correct. It's not in the call log.
I'll move on.
Been asked and answered.
Down at 9:12:14, what if any activity is reflected on the defendant's phone?
Alex Murdaugh calls Chris Wilson. It shows 42 seconds long. That's based off his CDRs because it's not in any of his phone extractions or call log.
Includes connection time as well.
It does.
Oh, thanks, Scooby-Doo.
Moving on to page 24, we have a map. Tell the jury quickly what this map reflects.
Hey,
It's going to
Richard.
be an Alex Murdaugh location map from Verizon. It's going to show at 9:12:14 what tower and what sector it's pinging off of, and then at 9:18:46 what tower it's pinging off of. The red dot's going to be Moselle. The green one is going to be the Alameda property.
Moving on to the next map, is that similar information of the defendant's trip from Moselle to Alameda?
It's similar. It's just going to show you the coverage areas for each tower.
I thought he was like initially I thought he was maybe like a mastermind who plays dumb and plays
And
like
then on page 26, what does this map
a
reflect?
little
This
pathetic.
is going to be
opinion.
Verizon records for CB Row. Far right, the little red dot, that's going to be Moselle. Blue dot is going to be CB Row's home in Brunson. This is just showing the cell tower data at the time frame of 9:14, 9:20, and 9:21,
And?
and 11:37 p.m. This is close to Fairfax, just for reference.
He's pinging in the arc near his home over here in Fairfax, is that right?
That is correct. The
And
home's
where's
gonna be
Moselle?
Moselle's going to be that red dot to the right.
So this is Moselle right here. Oh God, never mind, it's gone.
At 9:18:46, what if any activity is reflected on the defendant's phone?
At 9:18:46, Alex Murdaugh calls John Marvin Murdaugh. It shows 106 seconds, and that's from his CDR since it's not on either phone extraction call log.
I think he's just been getting lucky. I don't think he's a mastermind. I think he's just been getting lucky the entire time. And then slowly all the evidence rolls in. It exposes just how dumb he really is.
All right.
Oh
We're on
my
page
God.
26 now. Tell the jury quickly what this map reflects.
There's also going to be Verizon records from Alex Murdaugh's phone plotted. It's showing starting at 6:20:34 all the way to 9:46:35. It's showing from the cell tower in the sector of Alameda.
You said 6:24 or 9:20?
I'm sorry, 9:20:34.
So
roughly
Mosel's right
20-minute
here.
period at
Rough-
Alameda?
Roughly 20 minutes, correct.
And, oh, Alameda right here, right?
Moving over to page 27, what is this map?
This is just going to be a zoomed-in picture from the previous one, just showing the same time frame, just showing a little bit more zoomed in from the cell tower in proximity to Alameda.
I don't know if I believe the corruption
At
part.
9:20:34, what if anything happens on the defendant's phone?
At this time, Chris Wilson calls Alex at 9:20:34. It shows for 131 seconds.
He might have some
We got
homies
this
that are
data
lawyers.
from the CDR since it does not show
Maybe
on
some in law enforcement,
either
but-
one of his extractions.
I don't know if any of that's been exposed
And
yet.
during
so.
that time, Claude CB Rowe at 9:21:36 calls, but Alex does not answer it.
And again, his phone was pinging back at his house in Fairfax at that time period, correct?
Oh,
That
thanks,
is
Stevie.
correct.
We see the blue and green box. Tell the jury what's happening with Alex's Suburban at this point.
So at 21:22, which that's military time, it's going to be 9:22. Green is going to show vehicle movement, and blue is going to show transmission shifting.
And
telemetry
is that
data.
consistent with the OnStar data at 9:22:49 of him arriving in Alameda?
It is.
Oh, like him stealing, being accused of being like a drug dealer and all that stuff.
On page 28, is that data point that you just referenced?
That is correct, 9:22:39.
Starting about 9:22, does Alex's phone reflect any step activity?
It does 9:22:39 to 9:32:14. We're showing approximately 195 steps taken on his phone.
I was also talking about the law enforcement involved in
9:24:13,
this
what if
case.
anything does the defendant phones reflect?
He calls Libby Murdaugh, which would be his mom, shows 20 seconds long. That's from his CDRs because it's not on either phone extraction.
And that would be the landline at Alameda.
That's correct.
After that, is there another missed call from Rogan to Paul?
There is at 9:26:06 p.m.
And then at 9:31:44, is that the first backlight activity on Maggie's phone since that time period you testified earlier about 9:07?
That is correct.
At 9:34, around that same time, is there any communication on Maggie's phone around the time of that backlight activity?
There is at 9:34:14. Rogan Gibson sends an iMessage to Maggie Murdaugh saying, "Tell Paul to call me," and that shows unread,
Never read?
never read.
Do we also have backlight activity associated with a missed call to Maggie's phone?
We do at 9:34:20.
So this is when
Up here at 9:34 to 9:36:20, it says Maggie Murdaugh's iPhone backlight. Is that backlight off?
That's going to be backlight off.
Just the off is missing from the words?
That is correct.
So at this point, he's already at his mama's house, and the
9:35
caretaker
to
said he was on his
9:45,
phone.
10-minute
like,
period. Is there any activity on Alex's phone?
It's showing approximately 60 steps taken on his phone during that time frame. And also, as you see on the right-hand side, Paul and Maggie's phones are locked. It's referenced with the lines and the color coordination on the right-hand side.
And those lines have been continuing through the past few
They've been
pages.
continuing, correct?
I just want to make sure y'all can hear the testimony and stuff.
We have some orange and purple boxes. Quickly tell the jury what those are.
So the orange color is going to be that system startup from previous testimony from Falkowski. And then the pink is going to be engine running propulsion.
And is there another missed call from Rogan to Paul?
There is at 9:42:17. There's a missed call. And then we have Alex's Suburban showing a device connection at 9:42:49, which is consistent with the data
All right.
telemetry.
Suburban's leaving Alameda around this time.
That is correct, 9:43:18.
Hey,
Show it
Clark.
starting at 2 miles an hour.
We have some additional telemetry consistent with him leaving.
We do.
Is there any activity on Maggie's phone at this point?
So at 9:44:04 to 9:45:04, it shows that her backlight was off.
And is there a missed call associated with that backlight activity or around the same time?
Yes, Maggie Murdaugh received a call from, it's going to show as PA in the phone extraction, which is it's Alex's number, and it shows missed.
And was that call missing from Alex's phone extraction?
It was missing from both phone extractions.
Why would he? I don't get it.
Going down to 9:46:35,
missing.
what, if any, activity
What would
do
that
you see?
mean?
It shows that Alex Murdaugh called Paul Murdaugh, shows 18 seconds long, that's with the connection time, and that is based off of Alex's CDRs. It does not show in either extractions.
9:47:23, what do we see, if anything?
Alex sends a iMessage to Maggie stating, "Call me, babe," and that shows unread. in
That's
Maggie
so
Murdaugh's
disgusting.
extraction.
Imagine
see
you
some
murdered your
backlight
entire
activity around
family.
the time of that
Almost.
text
do.
message, that unread text
And then here you're
message?
saying like,
We
oh,
do, a
call
couple
me,
seconds.
babe. Oh, like trying to call your son, trying to get a hold of your wife when you already knew what happened to them. Oh my God, I hate this guy.
We have a
Ugh,
map
okay.
here. Just generally, what does this reflect?
We do. This is going to reflect the coverage area
Defense still has to
of
present.
the cell
So
tower between Moselle and Alameda.
And this is whose phone?
This is going to be Alex Murdaugh's phone. This is going to be his
Murdaugh.
Verizon records, not location data from phone.
Moving towards the direction of Moselle.
That is correct.
Additional maps consistent with that as testified to by Matt Wild.
That is correct. Just showing coverage area.
At 9:52:15, what if any activity is on Alex's phone?
So at 9:52:15, Alex Murdaugh sends an iMessage to Chris Wilson saying, "Call me if up."
Just around the time where he's running 80 miles an hour.
That's correct. 9:51:43 is when we have the 80.16 mile per hour.
All right, moving over to the next page. Is there any further activity?
so he books
Alex
it
ends
back
up
home.
receiving a call from Chris Wilson at 9:52:59. Shows 42 seconds long with connection. That is also not on either extraction. And at 9:53:55, he receives another call from Chris Wilson. Shows 123 seconds, and that is on his CDRs, but not on either phone extraction.
And then from at about 9:56:57, what if any activity do you see on Alex's phone?
So from 9:56:57 to 10:06:57, it shows that Alex Murdaugh traveled approximately 231 steps traveled during that time.
Starting at what time?
9:56:57 to 10:06:57.
So at this
Remind
point,
the jury what time the 911 call was.
It was 10:06:14.
parks the car at home and then walks to the kennel again.
At 9:57 and 9:58, what activities reflected on Paul's records?
So Rogan Gibson calls Paul Murdaugh, shows 4 seconds, and that's based off of CDRs. And then at 9:58:35, Rogan sends a text message to Paul stating, "Yo."
And that hits Paul's phone.
That is correct. And
Is it overread?
it shows unread from his phone extraction.
Oh, Richter, we'll go back to it. Don't worry. When they go on lunch break, we'll review all of that
We
again.
have a bunch of green and blue boxes. Is this more telemetry data from the Suburban?
This is, the green's going to represent drives, and blue is going to represent some kind of gear shifting with the vehicle.
With the GM OnStar data reflects what, about 10 on the dot?
It reflects him pulling into the driveway at 4147 Moselle Road, the main entrance.
And where did the Suburban go first?
Suburban went directly to the house, bottom left.
It didn't go to the kennels first, it went to the house first?
That is correct.
And what time does it arrive at the house? Or what time right there in that map? That's what, the map at the top?
That's
of-
what the time that it pulls into the driveway.
I'm sorry. 1 second.
I was multitasking when I heard that part, but the sunflower guy was, his cell phone indicated that he was somewhere else in a different area. But I wasn't visually looking. We're definitely going to go over that. I told you, bleep. Last 10 minutes of
At
nightmare.
10:03:36 p.m., there's 2 entries around that time. Can you tell the jury what, if any, activity you see as it relates to Maggie's phone?
So Alex Murdaugh calls Maggie Murdaugh's phone at 10:03:58, and backlight is on associated with that.
And then starting about 10:04:08, what don't we see for a time period?
So from 10:04:08 to 10:46:40, there is a gap in activity. I don't see any activity on Maggie's phone at all through the Knowledge C database.
At 10:05:06, what, if anything, does the data reflect?
It reflects Alex's Suburban leaving the main house based on the GM data.
Going over to page 35. Is this one of your cast maps?
Yes, it is. It's 10:05:06, and it's showing the time the Suburban starts to leave down to the kennels.
And going to the next map, what time is that?
Next map's going to be 10:05:57. That's the arrival time at the kennels.
According to that GPS location data.
Yes, sir, from GM and OnStar.
What's that time again?
It's going to be 10:05:57.
Down at the bottom of the page, what time is the 911 call?
10:06:14.
How many seconds is that from the time the Suburban arrives at the kennels and he calls 911?
Roughly 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
That's correct.
Damn, he calls it real quick. Okay. And then the 590 something steps, is that him walking from kennel to home to get the shotgun and coming back?
Statements to law enforcement shortly after the crime, that he went over and checked the bodies and that sort of thing.
I do.
Lead the witness.
What, if anything, in his statements to law enforcement did the defendant say about what he did when he arrived at the scene?
The defendant stated that he went and checked on Paul and Maggie to check the bodies.
And from the moment the Suburban arrived at the kennels, how long did it take for that 911 call to be made?
Less than 20 seconds.
He looks pissed. 20 seconds. So he put the car in park, booked it over to the kennels real quick, tried to flip over Paul's body, put the cell phone back on his back,
Another call from Rogan to Paul that never be answered.
then calls
That's
911 in 20
correct.
seconds.
10:08:27. Never answered.
If it was a minute, more believable. 20 seconds is too quick.
At 10:11:54, what happens?
This is when Alex Murdaugh was on the 911 call.
Okay.
Stated he was going to go get a gun.
Okay.
This was at 10:11:54. This is when the Suburban is showing leaving the kennels.
And down at the bottom of page 36, we see another map. What does that reflect?
That's going to be 10:13:54. And on the next page, it's going to show the map. That's when his Suburban left the main house going back to the kennels.
And what time does the location data reflect that the Suburban arrived back at the kennels?
10:14:30 is when it's going to reflect driving back to the kennels. Or approximately. This is when he's coming into the view of the kennels.
And then what time does the 911 call in?
So the 911 call is going to end at 10:17. And then the step data is what the 10:16:37 p.m. is referring to. That's going to be when his step data ended.
Oh my God, they have
It
so
was
much information from that day.
594 steps taken.
After the 911 call, does the defendant's phone reflect any activity?
It does. It shows him calling Randy Murdaugh. It shows 16 seconds long with the connectivity time. And that's based off his CDRs. It was not found on either extraction. And then also we have a 1018 where he's sending a text message to Randy saying, please call me emergency.
Is there step activity around this time on Alex's phone?
There is 10:18:53 to 10:28:05. We're showing approximately 525 steps taken during that time frame.
And does Paul's backlight come on again at 10:18?
It does 10:18:08 to 10:18:20. We're showing backlight.
Was that after the 911 call had ended?
No. I'm sorry, yes. Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. So 10:17 is when the 911 call ended, and this would have been at 10:18:08. So this would have been right after.
And the last text that hit Paul's phone was from whom?
Rogan Gibson. I believe it said yo.
Paul's phone still hitting, of course, that kennel location.
That is correct. This is going to be off of his iPhone location data.
And where was Paul's phone found again, according to your knowledge of the investigation?
It was found on Paul's rear end, facing up.
Top of page 39, we have a map. What does that reflect?
This is going to reflect Verizon records for Alex Murdaugh, starting at 10:19 all the way to 11:18, and it's just showing the sector it was pinging off of, and that's in the area of Moselle Road.
All right, and we have a range of times there from the 10-ish hour to the 11-ish hour p.m. with Alex phone being there.
That is correct.
Does Alex's phone reflect a couple of calls that were not on his extraction but in the CDRs?
It does.
To what people?
It's going to be to Randy Murdaugh, John Marvin, and then Rogan Gibson, and then
At 10
Christie.
At 10:20:08, what, if any, activity does Paul's phone reflect?
So Paul's phone shows a display on screen auto lock. It's been locked. It's just documenting a auto lock.
Display on auto lock?
Mm-hmm.
And now, auto lock can be consistent with what, according to your understanding?
According to my understanding is that auto lock could be, it doesn't recognize like a face, so it automatically locks, or it could be just hitting like on the iPhone, the power button on the side.
And what was the last text that hit Paul's phone again? Who was it from?
Rogan Gibson.
And what does the defendant do just seconds later?
Calls Rogan Gibson.
Was that on the Dillon Hightower extraction?
It was not on the Dillon
Wait.
Hightower extraction or the second one.
Sorry, can we go back for a sec?
Was that on?
Gibson.
And what was the last text that hit Paul's phone again? Who was it from?
Rogan Gibson.
And what does the defendant do just seconds later?
Calls Rogan Gibson.
Now, Mr. Randolph's health. And when did the defendant finally read that text?
The following day, so that'd be June 8th, 2021.
At 10:22:09, was there a text that the defendant read?
There was 10:22:09. He received a group text message from Michael Gunn and a few people saying she brought the heat from Miami boys, and it was read the same night at 10:38:42 p.m. An associated picture is below.
The 10:24 and the 10:25 hours, what, if anything, does the defendant's phone reflect?
Alex tries to call Rogan, and then he sends an iMessage stating, "Call me." And then he attempts to do a FaceTime, and this is going to be the first log that we see on his phone records is going to be this FaceTime call with Rogan on his extraction for the day of June 7th, 2021.
What?
Multiple attempts to contact Rogan. Huh?
That's correct.
And what time does law enforcement arrive on the scene?
Approximately 10:25 is when the first deputy arrived on scene.
10:25.
That is correct.
We see step activity around this time on Alex's phone.
We do. So we had a group of step activity end at 10:28:54, and then we had a new group start at 10:28:54 that goes to 10:37:27. It's showing 320 steps traveled approximately.
And does the defendant's phone reflect any phone activity after that?
It reflects at 10:29:17 a call to Randy that shows answered 42 seconds long. That's also not on the extraction. And then a FaceTime with Rogan at 10:30:31 that does show on the extraction.
That was attempted FaceTime.
That's correct.
Oh my
I
god.
believe in previous testimony Rogan said he was asleep during the time.
Moving on to page 41.
This is going to be a Paul Murdaugh Verizon records. This is just going to show the the tower and then just the location, and you can see Moselle Road within it. This is a 10:34 time period.
It seems that like after he finds the body,
Is there a
calls
display
911,
on?
he goes into like damage control mode.
Activity on Paul's phone, but also
Calls
in
friends,
a
close family.
phone call from Nolan Tootin around that time.
Calls
That is
friends.
correct. Around 10:34, it's showing display on and then a Nolan Tootin phone call.
And then finally, what time does Paul's phone finally die?
Paul's phone finally dies at 10:34:24 p.m. on June 7th, 2021.
Almost 2 hours after the criminal video.
That is correct.
And Maggie's phone stays locked until when?
The following day, June 8th, around 1:10 p.m. when the investigators find it.
When the investigators find it.
That is correct.
Look at Harpootlian. Alec Murdaugh trying to BS right now. Harpootlian's like, now what? What BS are you feeding me right now? You think Harpootie's buying it? Jim ain't. Is he smiling over there? Look at him. Trying to explain his way out of things. Shaking his head. Harpootlian's like, ugh, okay, whatever you say, client. Whatever you say. I would say I Saw the Devil is a little too excessive in terms of gore and violence. That movie was really interesting though. But yeah, it was a tough one to watch. Have you seen that one, Believe? I Saw the Devil? Harpootlian is a fantastic surname. I love it.
I'm going to show you a couple of exhibits. We're almost done, and everybody's hungry. Show you what's been marked as 523. If you're to this trial, states 523. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And tell the jury just where that's from, please.
This is going to be a text message I retrieved from one of the Cellbrite extraction reports. It's going to be from Paul to Alex.
Your
Maybe
Honor,
a
this time
southern
I'd offer states
one? I don't know.
523 into evidence.
Your Honor, we would renew the previous objections, have no additional objections. Or 403.
I see the exhibit.
I've never met or heard a Harpootlian, but it might just be a southern thing. I don't know. Yeah, Henty Common 1 and 2 is great. So for those of you guys who are just joining us, my stream of this coverage is friendly towards West Coast people and people who don't want to wake up super early to catch the trial. We're going to watch whatever happens now, and then we'll go back and watch what we missed in a little
We'll
bit
show
sped up fashion, and
523.
we'll skip over the...
And this is a text from From which person to which person?
So this is going to be from Paul Murdaugh, and it's going to be to, it says voicemail. That's going to refer to Alex. This is obtained from his phone. It's going to be the owner. So that's going to be Paul to Alex.
What's the date?
The date is going to be May 6, 2021 at 10:52:13 a.m.
Uh-oh.
And what does it say?
It says, I am still in EB because when you get here, we need to talk.
Uh-oh.
Mom found several bags of pills in your computer bag. And this is again from Paul to Alex on May 6.
So a month before the murders happened, family's starting to catch on. The pill addiction stuff, the drug stuff. Is that what it is? I feel like they should just break for lunch and just start right here. At this point, the jury might be really, really hungry. If I'm hungry, it's hard for me to pay attention. Maggie called Paul the little detective. Yeah, per Marion Proctor's testimony, her sister.
States 553. See if you recognize this exhibit.
Okay.
Oh, God. Look at Harpoolian's face.
I do.
Mr.
know what that
Harpoolian's like,
This is going to be some searched items that I obtained from Maggie Murdaugh's extraction report.
oh, no.
Your Honor, this time I'd offer states 553, I believe, without additional objection.
No additional objections, Your Honor.
Admit it.
And tell the jury what this exhibit is, please.
So this is going to be Google searches. Far left, you're going to have a timestamp. The source, which is going to be Safari, that's for Apple.
Oh, no.
And then the value is going to be the searched item. And on May 26, 2021 at 11:21 p.m., Maggie searched green gel pill P30. She also searched 11:20 p.m. Green gel pill P30, white pill 30 on one side RP. And if you look to the right, you're going to see a column that says deleted. That one is showing yes has been deleted. And then if we go down to row number 4, it's going to be May 6, 2021 from Safari, white pill 30 on one side RP, and that's also shown deleted.
Oh, no. So you think she found these pills and she was like, what the hell are these? Googled them up, looked it up to see what the heck they are. Look at Alex's face. Oh man, we're getting his true. This is a real Alex right now. Oh man, that crying, sobbing shit might have just been all BS, man.
Could you slide it down just a little bit? I just want to make sure there's not another entry. Okay.
Maggie Murdaugh, that's her name. It's his wife. Also, if you haven't, if you're not familiar with this case, I made a video that says like everything important about the Murdaugh trial or something that like catches you up to speed for the first like 12 days of the trial.
Show you what's been worked with states 556 and see if you recognize this exhibit.
And then another video talking about opening
I do.
statements and like a
So,
timeline
just
before the
generally,
murders
what
happened.
is this?
This is going to be a text message thread between Alex Murdaugh and Russell Lafitte.
And at the time, where did Russell Lafitte work again, to your understanding?
Palmetto State Bank.
And Your Honor, this time I would offer states 556, I believe, without additional objection.
No additional objections beyond the 403 and 404 objections previously ruled upon.
See the exhibit.
Hey, Hugo. Alice looks how I feel. You just wake up or something, Joe? Are you stressed right now? Blown? Nervous? Oh, God. Oh, man. I wonder if Harpoolian thought it was going to be like a slam dunk because of the lack of like the blood evidence. how gunshot residue testimony was like, eh. They didn't have the murder weapon. Now it's like, oh, fuck. What did I get myself into? Oh, man. Oh, on the toilet? Shall we break for lunch? I think the jury are getting hungry.
Right, I'm gonna put states 556 up on the screen. And again, tell the people on this text and the time and what it says.
So this is going to be a text from voicemail, which is going to be Alex Murdaugh's phone,
Okay.
to Russell Lafitte. It was sent on June 3rd, 2021 at 3:22 p.m. This is from Alex stating, I need to extend farm credit line another $600,000.
Oof.
My dad will sign also if needed.
His sick
How much
dad?
turnaround will that take? And again, that's from Alex to Russell Lafitte on June 3rd, 2021.
Show you two final exhibits, states.
His dad passes
554
away
and
4 days after this. This
555.
was really
And
sick.
You recognize those.
I do.
And where were those found?
These are found from Maggie Murdaugh's iPhone extraction.
Your Honor, at this time I do offer 554 and 555 into evidence, I believe without objection.
Okay. They're admitted.
States 554, who is that?
It's going to be Maggie Murdaugh and her sister.
Oh. They look so alike.
States 555, who is that?
It's going to be Buster Murdaugh, Maggie Murdaugh, and Paul Murdaugh.
Thank you, Special Agent. Please answer any questions the defense may have.
Lunchtime?
Ladies and gentlemen, we break for lunch now.
Oh, look at him crying
For
now.
an hour and 15 minutes. Please do not discuss the case.
Dude, after that testimony, a lot of people, they really think you did it. Oh my God. Okay, so let's, that's the second witness of the day. I'm going to continue with the beginning of his testimony. We'll speed up a little bit. And then if we have time, we'll continue with the testimony of the witness who went yesterday. Not much really happens in that one, but Harpootlian gets really frustrated with the witness, and he kind of loses just a little bit, you know? A little bit.
Please do not discuss your testimony during lunch. And we'll be in recess.
When are we coming back for lunch? An hour and 15 today, or what? Okay, what did you miss? If you guys just tuned in, perfect time. We're going to recap everything, and let's go back to the beginning of his testimony because, oh man, this testimony, it was a good way to end the, I believe this is going to be the last witness that the state is going to present, but that's a strong witness. So let's go back to his testimony right here. We'll speed up to, I think like 1.5. 1.75 is probably really good, but we'll do 1.5 for now. And
At some point in that position in SLED Investigative Services, did you get involved in the investigation of the murders of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh at Moselle?
I did. November of 21 is when I was brought on to assist the Low Country region with this case.
okay, so another law enforcement agent. They go through his credentials a little bit, when he was introduced to the case, and what they have. He's going to be the one that plots. He's going to be the one that discusses the plotting of all of Alex Murdaugh's movement from that day, the day the murders happened. So with the car, the vehicle information that they got from GMC a week ago, like literally a week ago, roughly, and then they're going to take the cell phone data of Paul, Maggie, and Alex's, and then maybe some others from like Rogan. There was another person that people thought was like suspicious as well. His name was like something CB Rowe or something like that. So this testimony I was listening to this morning, this woke me up. I was like, oh my God, there's so much crazy stuff going on here.
Full dots.
This is going to be the general overview of Moselle. Each little dot is going to either have a single set of data points or multiple set of data points. And this is for the whole day. This is not just for a certain time period. This is going to be for the whole day of June 7th, 2021.
All right, and then again, generally, what does this represent?
This is going to represent in Hampton around the law firm. Each dot is either a single set of data points or multiple set of data points. It's just kind of a zoomed in photo from what we saw previously.
And that's the defendant's former law firm?
That is correct.
All right, and what does this represent?
This is going to be the Alameda property that's been referred to previously.
The
And this is just showing
mom's-
a overview
his
of all the
mom's.
dots for that day.
All right, we're about to get into some slides that have very specific references to dots. And just generally, what are you about to go through with the jury as the specific data points that you're about to relate to them?
So for this presentation, we're going to go through all the different drives that occurred that day. You're going to have a data point in a slide that's going to show you the beginning, a couple slides during the drive, and then at the end. And we're going to have a couple different drives that we'll be walking through.
And they got the speed limit too.
All right, now we're at this slide. What's the title of
Or
this
not
slide?
speed limit,
This
but
is
the
Alex
speed
leaving for
driving.
work.
All right, and tell the jury, what image do we see right here on the screen?
So what you're looking at, this is going to be the property 4147 Moselle Road. This is going to be the main entrance, and you can see underneath the little box is going to be the house. You're going to see on the date, it's going to say June 7th, 2021, and this plot is going to be 12.
So this is the house right here. Oh, you guys can see my mouse, but this is the house right here. Okay, see the little red dots right there? That's going to be his path, the way he's driving. Now, if you guys remember, Alec Murdaugh said that he went to work at 8:39 that morning. He either said, I went to work at 8:39 or I got to work at 8:39. But for some reason, on that day, it says that he left for work at 12:06 p.m. That's like a 3-hour plus discrepancy. Why lie about that? We don't know.
12:06:47.
All right, is that what time Suburban got underway, according to the GM OnStar data?
That is correct. It does match up.
Moving to this next slide, what does this represent?
This next slide is representing his vehicle making a right onto Moselle Road during his drive.
And again, so this is his house right here. Over here is where the kennel is, where Maggie and Paul were found. And so he, left the house, and this is Moselle Road right here. Just so you guys get, you can't really see, if you zoom in, you can kind of see, but this is Moselle Road, this is the house, and over here is the kennel.
All right, what time is that?
The time is 12:07:40 p.m.
All right, come on down here, if you would, just real quick, and explain to the jury this box, and in particular, if there's a little arrow in this box, point that out to them so that they can understand specifically what's being referenced with the blue and white box.
So anytime you see a blue box here, it's a little hard to see with a little kind of triangle down here. That's where it's pointing to on which red dot it is referring to. So anytime you see the box, look for that little triangle, and that's going to tell you the area that the vehicle, the latitude, longitude correlates with.
All right, I'll have to borrow the stick real quick. So this little blue triangle right there is what we're talking about?
That is correct.
And it's pointing to that little red dot there, is that right?
That's correct.
And we're not going to go through all 4,820 dots, but just representative dots of these various trips, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right.
And I just want to point out quickly, you might see a couple other data points that could be for another trip. Sometimes they have the same latitude and longitude, but different times. So you might see a couple different data points, but that's the explanation.
Oh, man,
And
look
then the
at
one that's
Alec.
highlighted, though, is the one the information is being referred to right there, is that correct?
That's correct.
And
Alec's like, oh, shit.
right here we see what?
We see June 7th, 2021,
All right,
12:07:40 p.m.
All right, thank you. All right, before we move on to the next slide, what's the car doing at this point in time?
I think they explained very clearly. It's just that it's way more nuanced. So they have to go through every little detail to make sure everything's on the record for the court. For me, I just get to the meat of it. But when they do their opening statements, closing statements, they're usually pretty good with that, I would say.
Car is moving.
All right, and what location is it? Just generally an orientation to the property?
Moselle Road coming out of that main gate,
That driveway?
main driveway.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it seems like Maggie also came for money too. It wasn't like Maggie had no money whatsoever, and then Alec was the only one that that had money and stuff like that. It seems like she also had money. The Moselle property was under her name, but I don't know if it was I don't know. It seems like she also had money too. But yeah, in terms of their finances and all that, I'm not really sure because I don't know. Did they really even go over that? I don't think so. But it seems like she also had money, and it seems like Alex also has money. Yeah, old money.
Moving on to the next one.
Generational wealth. Legacy. Something I wish I had.
What does this represent?
This is 12:07:42, and this is representing, you're going to see a mile per hour is going to be the new line that just showed up. And this is showing 12 miles an hour the vehicle's traveling.
Generally on these blue boxes is the little arrow at the bottom. Is that kind of in the center bottom in most of these little blue boxes, blue and white boxes?
That is correct.
All right, and some of the entries have a miles per hour reading, is that correct?
That is correct.
And that's being
Chill.
reported by the vehicle and by GM OnStar?
And it's being uploaded to their servers.
All right, and so what was the speed of the defendant's vehicle at this time?
Approximately 12 miles an hour.
12 miles an hour.
Now, on here it's in reference
Slow.
to miles per hour because we're Americans. But the data that you got, what unit was it in?
Kilometers.
All right, and so did you convert that data to miles per hour?
In an Excel spreadsheet, yes.
All right, and just plugged in what the conversion is and it converted to miles per hour?
Yep, you do the equal sign, and you do the conversion, and it converts for you.
All right. All right, going on to this next slide. Is this still on the trip that morning to the or that afternoon to the law firm?
That is correct.
All right, and very quickly tell the jury where we're at.
We are still on Moselle Road. We're past the Godley Farms Road, which would be another reference point.
And that's the residence up here at the top?
That is correct.
All right, that's the kennels way up at the very top?
That is correct.
All right, what is the date and time of this reading?
12:08:30, and that is showing approximately 55 miles an hour.
Okay.
55 miles per hour. Y'all remember that, okay?
All right, tell me about this next one.
This is still on the drive to the law firm. This is showing at 12:16 on the dot, and we're showing approximately 60 miles an hour driven.
And where is the arrow on this particular one?
So on this box, the arrow is actually going to be on top, and it's pointing to one of the data points.
Speed again.
Approximately 60 miles an hour.
Going on to slide 13 for the record, what does this reflect?
This is reflecting coming into Hampton to the law firm, and this is actually, if you look, it's pretty much right on top of the law firm. It's 12:21:37, and we have no speed associated.
So he gets to the law firm at 12:20, but in his earlier testimonies or in his earlier like interview or interrogation, he said he either got or left to go to the law firm at like 8:39, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I have like keypad locks. You guys can like check the times for that. Like, we're off by 3 hours, homie."
All right, and then the next
Why
slide,
lie?
slide
I don't know.
14.
This is 12:24:06 with no speed reported. This is when he's arriving. This is the last data point I could find.
And so he's arrived at work at that time, correct?
That's correct.
12:46?
12:24:06.
Go on to this next slide. Explain to the jury what this is, and we're slide 15. For
So after each drive, we're going to have a slide that's going to show a max speed from all the data sets on Excel. The max speed for his drive from Moselle to the law firm that morning was 12:13:19. The max speed was 65.8 miles per hour, and the average speed of that whole drive was 37.24 miles an hour, and that time was at 12:13:19 during his drive.
Okay.
All right, we're moving now to slide 16. Tell the jury what this represents.
This one's going to represent Alex leaving work at the law firm, heading to his house.
So again, he told law enforcement that he left the law firm at like 5:30, and they were like, "Well, we actually looked into your keypad thing, and it says that you went back into the law firm. You left at 5:30, but then you went back in at 5:30. And then also, one of your coworkers said that when they left at like 6 o'clock, they saw that you were still there. So either this guy really has a bad time tracking time, or he's lying."
It shows at 6:24:18, and it shows him going 8 miles an hour, just starting to leave.
PM
PM.
and the speed.
Or a little bit of both.
Approximately 8 miles an hour.
Going on to slide 17.
This one's showing at 6:26:54 p.m. It's showing his Suburban going approximately 42 miles an hour on his drive home. The arrow is going to be on the top right.
And
It
the speed?
might cut off a little bit. 42 miles an hour.
All right, and then is that the arrow right there?
That is correct.
All right, at the top,
Top of the screen.
about 42 miles an hour.
That is correct.
Slide 18, what does this reflect?
This is going to reflect at Alex arriving home at 6:42:54 with a miles per hour of 0. This is one of the last data points that without speed.
So he arrives home now at 6:42 p.m. But don't forget that he told law enforcement that him and Paul were hanging out, riding around the Keno area, the other areas for like a couple of hours. I think he said like for a couple of hours or like most of the day or something. Maybe he said a couple hours. I think that's what it was. But as you can see here, if we're looking at the timeline, so a couple key points. He said that he was with Paul for a couple of hours. They were just messing around the Moselle area, right? Like doing the tree stuff, maybe the sunflower fields, I don't know, the kennel area. And they were riding around in Paul's truck. That's what he said. So that's 6:42 p.m. However, they think that Paul and Maggie were murdered at, let's say, between 8:50 to 9:06, or is it 8:40 to 9:06? One of those times. But he did tell the 911 operator and other people that like, oh, I saw Maggie and Paul like 2 hours ago. So think about that timeline. If he got to Paul and Maggie's body at 10 o'clock and he said that he saw Paul and Maggie like 2 hours ago, that would be around like the 8 o'clock timeline, right? So that's the 8 o'clock timeline right there. And then remember, they also had dinner. So how could he have arrived at the house at 6:40, hung out with Paul for 2 hours, that would be 8:40, and then had dinner, but then Paul and Maggie were murdered between 8:40 to like 9:06, but then he went to his mom's house at 9:06. Like the timeline that he gave was just it just doesn't work out. It doesn't make sense. His timeline would work out if he got home from work early, maybe at like 3 or something, and Paul got home around 3, 4, and then they rode around for a couple hours, and then they had dinner. He took a nap at like 6 o'clock, or no, he took a nap at 8 o'clock and didn't see them until like 10 o'clock. That timeline would probably have worked out. But as you can see in this timeline, this is probably like a chart that I had to draw because I know like mentally it's kind of hard to picture it all out. But from his timeline, it just doesn't make sense because it doesn't correspond with what we're seeing on the phone or like the car records as well. Did they test the stomach contents? They did. So when Dr. Reamer tested the stomach contents of both Paul and Maggie, she was able to find similar food substance in there. She was like saying that it was like a grayish color. It was very consistent to what, it seems like they had a shared dinner. But
6:42 p.m. arriving back at the residence,
That is correct.
and the arrow is pointing
like
to
I said, I think it's possible for people to have a really gross, inaccurate version of how things went down versus what really went down. Because I know sometimes it's really hard for us to keep track of time, right? Like maybe for us, what seems like 20 minutes really was 45 minutes. So that I could be a little bit forgiving in, but there's too many inconsistencies with this guy. Way too many. And there's so many other evidence that just really points it to him. Because like just having inaccurate time frames alone wouldn't make me think he's guilty. It's like, okay, this guy's consistent. That's factor one, right? But then you have a bunch of other factors that really points that he was the one that did it. No one else. They ain't got nobody else at the crime scene.
what?
The residence. A little bit to the side. That's the residence right there.
All right, and tell the jury now on slide 19, what does this represent?
So this is going to be from his drive home from the law firm to Moselle. It represents at 6:34:01 during his drive. The max speed obtained was 54.4 miles per hour. The average speed during this drive was 41.39 miles an hour. And you can see the location somewhere
And
off
remember,
of 63.
This is around the summertime, so it's probably really like bright and like there's still sunlight out during this time. So he's driving around like average speed 41 miles per hour, and he said max speed 54 miles per hour.
Driving home, what was his max speed?
54.4 miles per hour was the max speed driving home.
And the reason why I bring that up is because when he's driving to and from his mom's house, he's driving really fast. And later on, they're going to mention that like, oh, isn't it weird to be driving really fast on that road, especially at night? Yes. Why? Well, the road conditions are pretty shitty, one. And then two, they're out in like I don't know if this is like the wooded area or what, but they're in an area where there's a lot of deers. And I used to live in the East Coast. We know that like when you're driving in wooded areas where deers will pop out, you don't want to be driving fast because sometimes deers just pop out of nowhere and you're going to fucking hit the deer. So for him to be booking it on that road at night, shitty road conditions, they thought it was odd, which I agree.
All right, slide 20.
All right, so now we're at where Alex is leaving for Alameda. This is going to be 9:07:06 p.m.
Okay. And again, we'll go through the timeline of that, but is this generally consistent with some of the telemetry data that Falfosky did?
It is
Suburban goes underway at what time?
9:07:06 according to this data.
Moving on to the next slide.
Like previous
Where's the Suburban at this point?
Like previous slides, this is going to be the Suburban pulling out onto Moselle Road, coming right out of the main entrance, going about 15 miles an hour. This is going to be at 9:08:06.
Was it muted? How long was it muted for? Did you hear my whole speech about the... I don't know how long it was muted for. Was it only muted for like a minute there? Hopefully it was. Okay, so what I was saying was 9:08 is the time where he said that he left to go to his mom's house. So he came home, messed around with Paul for a little bit. Maggie came home. They had dinner. And he decided to take a nap on the couch. He woke up. He said that he didn't know where Paul and Maggie were. They weren't at the house. He called Maggie a couple of times. She doesn't answer. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to go to my mom's house. He leaves at 9:08 to go to his mom's house.
What do we have right here?
This is going to be 9:08:18 with speeds approximately 37 miles an hour.
Where's the Suburban heading at this point?
Towards Alameda.
All right, slide 23. We have a reference point here. Can you explain what that is to the jury?
So the orange
And this point is very important. So Maggie's phone was found on the side of the road. Weird, because Paul's phone was not found on the side of the road. Paul's phone was found on his back, as if someone, the phone fell out and placed it on his back. If someone else had committed this crime, why take Maggie's phone? Why not Paul's phone? Why take Maggie's phone and then chuck it out of the window? Why would you do that? Why not just take both of their phones?
orange dot, that's going to represent approximately where Maggie Murdaugh's phone was located the following day on June 8th, 2021.
All right, and do we have a time reference for the Suburban at this time?
We do. It's going to be 9:08:36 seconds, and it's showing a speed of 42 miles an hour.
Moving on to the next one. Tell the jury what this is.
In the grayish white looking box, you can still see the little circle where it says Maggie Murdaugh's phone location, and right under it's where the pinpoint's going to be. It's going to be 90836, 42 miles an hour.
Next slide, 25. Slide 25.
The upper halfway portion of that box, you're going to see the circle again, orange circle. That's going to be Maggie Murdaugh's phone. And at 90842, we have the Suburban traveling approximately 45 miles an hour.
After passing that location, does the defendant's vehicle start to accelerate?
It does.
Coincidence much? Look at his face. Oh, God. Harpoolian's like, Alec, you didn't tell us about this.
Going to slide 26, tell us what this references.
So we also have Maggie Murdaugh's phone location. This is just another data point. There's several throughout the road. This one is showing 90854, 44 miles an hour.
Slide 27.
This is going to show you another overview of this data point in location to Maggie Murdaugh's phone. 90854, 44 miles an hour.
Slide 28.
This one's further down the road past Godley Farms Road, just for a reference point. This is 90906, traveling 48.6 miles per hour.
Slide 29.
This is another data point in reference to where the phone location is. 90918 p.m., traveling 49 miles per hour.
And slide 30.
This is going to be another data point at 90918, traveling approximately 52 miles an hour.
Slide 31.
This is also going to be another one on Moselle Road, coming up to Dobson Road. It's going to be 90924 p.m., traveling approximately 52 miles an hour.
And then slide 32.
This is also going to be another data point on that road, 90942, traveling approximately 54 miles an hour on Moselle Road.
All right, going to slide 33. Has our sort of map orientation changed?
It has. This is still on the drive to Alameda. I believe this is going to be 63 or Snyder's Highway or Walterboro Highway. This is at 9:13:30 p.m., showing a speed of 68 miles an hour on that drive to Alameda.
Driving real fast. Trying to get to his mom's place real fast, man.
All right. I'm going back to slide 3. Do that real quick. And the slide that we were just seeing when the orientation changes, can you come down real quick and kind of describe generally what we were looking at when we started and then the where we're at on that slide that we were just about to look at?
All right, so where we started on this drive would have been right up here, 4147 Moselle Road. 4147 Moselle Road. This would have been Moselle Road that we just showed all those data points. Would have made it right onto Dobson Road and then right onto 63 Snyder's Highway. It's approximately somewhere around here on Snyder's Highway for that data point we just looked at.
All right, returning to slide 33. All right.
And right there is going to be approximately where the data point is at.
Okay, and what's the speed there?
68.7 miles per hour.
All right. Going on to slide 34.
This is going to be at 9:14:36, showing an approximate speed of 69.4 miles per hour. It's going to be on the top portion.
All right, moving on to slide 35.
This is going to be at 9:16:48, showing approximately 70 miles an hour. It's going to be the top portion of your screen here, coming into Varnville.
All right, and down at the bottom center of the screen, what is that? Right here.
That's going to be the Alameda property, and just a reference, this is going to be coming into Varnville.
All right, right here, what do we have on slide 36?
This is going to be the Alameda property. You can kind of see it behind the other record part, but it's showing at 9:22:06. The Suburban's pulling, making a left into the Alameda property.
So this is him arriving to his mom's house around like 15 minutes after he left his property.
Slide 37, what do we see here? First of all, orient the jury as to what the map image reflects, and then describe the data point, please.
So the map image is going to reflect, you're going to make a left into the driveway. There's a railroad track, I believe here. The curved driveway coming in, and then right here is going to be the house. This is a little carport right here, and then the driveway is this whitish part that you see on your screen.
All right, and then up here, generally in the property, we can see a roof and that sort of thing. What generally are those?
Those are going to be some outbuildings on the property. The trees are there's a decent amount of trees right here, but there's I believe 2 outbuildings right here.
This white area right here just above the house, what is that?
That's going to be where you would park. It's a paved area in front of the carports.
Where do the data points reflect the Suburban going, though, when it arrives?
The data points for the Suburban, it looks like it went toward like a little bit into the grass, closer to the wood line over here, and that's going to be at 9:22:39.
Close to the wood line in the outbuildings?
That'd be correct.
All right, and again, what time is the arrival at Alameda?
9:22:39. And this is just, so this right here is going to be a better overview without the
box.
Thank you.
You can see right here is going to be the driveway leading in. And this is where a carport would be, where the vehicles would be parked. And then this is the main house here. Then you have your outbuildings.
So I guess they're saying that like usually like maybe this is where like you would park up your car right here, but he pulled up his car over here a little bit more on like towards the wooded side. Where was
Right here
the
we
shed?
have kind of a line of data points right there in the grassy area behind the house.
We do.
Because one of the law enforcement testified that like, oh, you know, when he pulled up to his mom's house, he pulled up closer to the shed area than like to the house or something.
All right, going on to slide 39, tell the jury what those calculations represent, please.
So this is going to represent the drive from Moselle to Alameda. During that drive, the Suburban reached a max speed of 74.4 miles per hour during that drive and averaged 51.94 miles per hour.
74 miles per hour.
And this is the data point with the highest speed obtained.
Was that top speed higher than any speed he achieved when he went to work earlier that day?
That is correct.
Is that average speed higher than any average speed he had when he went to work that day?
That is correct.
Now, what I was thinking was, oh, maybe you just drive a little bit faster at night because maybe there's less cars on the road. You know, that's possible. Sometimes people drive faster at night, you know. If the road is clear, you drive faster. But you'll see in the next part why people thought it was kind of weird. Or why they
returned
thought it was
from
weird.
work?
That's correct. Want to stay down here?
You can go back up. Thank you. That max speed again is what on the trip to Alameda?
74.4 miles per hour.
And the time again that he
Nine-
arrived?
At Alameda?
Yes.
I believe it's going to be 9:20.
Let me back up.
Go back.
We're back up to?
9:22:39. So 9:22:39, he reaches max speed at 9:14:13.
On June 7th, 2021 at 9:22 p.m. is it dark?
That is correct.
All right, we've gone on to slide 40. Please tell the jury what this represents.
This is going to represent at 9:43:18. This is when we first saw movement, and this would be Alex leaving Alameda en route back to 4147 Moselle Road. It's showing approximately 2 miles an hour.
All right, and the time again?
9:43:18.
So 9:43, he leaves his mom's house to go back home. And again, there's been a lot of different times that he told law enforcement about how long he was at his mom's house for. I think initially he said like 45 to 60 minute, and then he said like 40 minute, 30 to 40 minute. And so the caretaker was like, he was here for 20 minutes. And then the day after I think the dad's funeral, when he came back to the mom's house, he went up to the caretaker, was like, I was here 30 to 40 minutes. So very weird.
The arrival time that you just testified?
That's correct.
What was the arrival time?
9:22.
And he's leaving at what time?
9:43.
So approximately how long?
20 minutes.
Going on to slide 41, let me ask you this. Does the defendant,
the
does
mic
the data
picks it
reflect
up.
that
Let me know,
that the car pauses for a period of time while in that driveway area of Alameda?
It does, about halfway between on the driveway.
Come on down and get the jury away. I just sent you back. I'm sorry.
So halfway during, so this is the driveway right here. This is the driveway just for reference. You see what looks like a data point, I believe, right here. And if we click on that data point, it's going to be about a minute until this data point will show up leaving the property.
All right. And then on slide 41, we have what's the time stamp that you have on that one? And show the arrow to the jury, too, please.
Yep, 9:45:22, and the arrow is going to be all the way down at the bottom, right across the railroad tracks, turning onto the MSC Highway.
At 9:45.
That's correct, 9:45:22.
All right, moving on to slide 42. Please tell the jury what this data point represents.
This slide's going to show you the drive back from Alameda to Moselle. This is just a data point on Yemassee Highway. It's 9:46:01, and this one doesn't have speed.
Going to slide 43.
This is also
Orient the jury and tell them the data point, please.
so on the bottom you have Alameda, going through Varnville, and then heading up to Moselle. This is at 9:51:30. This is showing an approximate speed of 74 miles an hour. It's going to be
So do you think it's possible that he was speeding back because there are some things that he still had to clean up or something?
the top portion of that box.